Engines roar, sirens wail. In seconds, speed turns to chaos. Metal twisting, glass exploding, hearts racing. This isn't staged, this is real. Feel the impact and buckle up. The driver loses control on a narrow street. The car veers off course and slams into a parked vehicle with a loud crunch. The small car loses grip on the icy surface, sliding sideways across the road. In an instant, it crashes into a truck turning onto the lane, the collision sudden and unavoidable. A stolen car lost control and slammed into the fence, leaving behind a trail of destruction. In winter conditions, a car lost control and slammed into another at full speed. A truly terrifying crash on icy roads. The helicopter descends carefully toward the landing zone, but a sudden tilt turns precision into disaster as it crashes violently upon touching down. The truck driver fails to notice that his vehicle has rolled under a fence. As he presses the gas, the truck strains against the metal until the rear wheels lift off the ground, trapped by the barrier behind. A race car tears down the track at breakneck speed before losing control. It spins wildly, tumbling across the ground in a blur of dust and metal. One reckless maneuver sets off disaster. After being cut off, the second driver loses control and crashes into a roadside fence. A sudden stop on a busy road triggers a chain reaction. 3 cars are damaged in the crash, while the driver who caused it speeds away without looking back. The driver lost control and crashed into a building, which immediately collapsed onto the car, burying it under the rubble. The aircraft veers off its path, losing control as it descends. Seconds later, it slams into a wall, triggering a massive explosion that engulfs the scene in fire. A truck slammed into a bus at high speed, startling the man who was rushing toward it. He may have been late for work, but fate kept him outside. A Kamaz truck crosses the tracks just as a train approaches. In an instant, the massive locomotive slams into it, dragging the truck for several meters and leaving nothing but twisted wreckage behind. A drunk driver weaves down the street in chaos. One by one, parked cars fall victim to his reckless path. A car started crashing into everything around it, and a nearby driver rushed over, only to discover, unbelievably, that a dog was behind the wheel trying to steal the car. The truck driver fails to notice a small car trying to change lanes. In a terrifying instant, the vehicle is trapped and crushed between 2 massive trucks. A small car cuts sharply in front of a truck, forcing the driver to swerve left. The truck crashes into another beside it, while the reckless car speeds away from the scene. The plane glides smoothly across the sky until something suddenly goes wrong. Losing control, it plummets toward the ground and explodes on impact. The small car skids across the icy road, spinning out of control. Within moments, it slides into the opposite lane and crashes into an oncoming vehicle. The car speeds down the road, swaying slightly from side to side. Suddenly, it loses control and slams hard into a fence, sending debris flying in all directions. A sudden turn goes terribly wrong as an SUV mounts another car. In seconds, the smaller vehicle is crushed beneath its weight. The car skids on the icy road, the driver fighting to regain control. But as it spins around, the rear end slams straight into a passing truck, the struggle ending in a violent crash. On a frozen stretch of road, two cars race toward each other with little visibility. In an instant, they collide head-on, the brutal force of the crash echoing through the winter air. A car speeds toward an intersection as another begins to turn. With the road coated in ice, the driver has no chance to stop, and the collision is sudden and severe. A woman steps off the curb, unaware of the speeding car approaching. The driver swerves just in time, only to crash into the parked vehicle behind. Raging water presses against the concrete barrier, its force growing by the second. Then the wall gives way, unleashing a torrent that floods the streets and engulfs the city below. The rocket lifts off, engines roaring with promise. But barely seconds later, it plunges back to the ground and explodes in a blinding blast, a stunning yet terrifying sight. At a smelting plant, a driver carefully dumps waste into the molten pool. Suddenly, the lava bubbles and bursts, splashing fiery liquid onto the vehicle. On the roadside, a car burns fiercely, flames consuming its frame. The heat distorts the air as smoke rises into the cold sky, a haunting sight of destruction. Sparks flicker quietly along the ceiling wires. Moments later, the electrical system bursts into flames, spreading fire across the ceiling panels. Losing control, a Kamaz truck barrels forward uncontrollably. It plows into the cars ahead, triggering a massive and terrifying chain reaction crash. A heavy truck approaches too fast to brake in time. Within seconds, it plows into the line of waiting cars ahead, metal crunching under its unstoppable weight. The driver pulls over after hearing strange noises from his car. When he opens the hood, smoke begins to pour out, thickening rapidly as the engine overheats. Roadside poles came crashing down onto the passing cars, but fortunately, no one was injured. The small car loses traction on the icy road, swerving wildly from side to side. A heartbeat later, it slides into oncoming traffic, colliding head-on with another vehicle. A large Kamaz truck stands by the roadside, smoke slowly rising from its hood. Bystanders pull out their phones, recording in disbelief as flames begin to spread. The truck lost control and slammed into a car, a brutal reminder of how quickly accidents can happen. At a busy intersection, a bus approaches too fast to stop in time. It slams into a small car ahead, a moment of miscalculation with devastating results. The bridge stands firm above the flowing river, a picture of stability. Then, with a sudden rumble, its structure gives way and collapses into the water below. The driver loses control as the car skids across the wet road. In an instant, it slams into a traffic light, bringing the chaos to a halt. A drunk driver sped down the road, crashing into everything in his path. After parking, he walked away as if nothing happened, but police soon caught him. The small car loses traction on the ice, sliding sideways with no control. Moments later, it glides off the road and comes to rest on the snowy shoulder. A bus crossing the railway tracks collided with a train, a terrifying moment that shows how a second's mistake can lead to disaster. A racer pushes his car to the limit, but control slips away. The vehicle slams into a fence at full speed, erupting in a sudden fiery explosion. A truck loaded with bricks was driving in the opposite lane when one flew off and smashed into a car's windshield. Luckily, the driver escaped with just a scare. A fleeing driver speeds through the chase, desperate to escape. But a sharp turn sends the car skidding out of control, crashing into the bridge's support beams with devastating force. A small car pulls out to make a turn, unaware of a speeding truck approaching. The icy road leaves the truck no chance to stop, and in moments, it crashes into the helpless vehicle. The Ferris wheel turns slowly against the sky, lights twinkling in the evening. Then flames appear on one of the cabins, and horrified onlookers capture the unfolding disaster on their phones. As one car cautiously enters the intersection, another speeds in from the right. The collision is sudden and brutal, the sound of impact echoing through the crossroads. A small car loses control and crashes into an ambulance ahead. The impact sends the emergency vehicle skidding across the ice, sliding helplessly toward the roadside. A truck loaded with logs moves steadily down the road. Suddenly, another truck slams into its rear, the impact sending wood scattering across the highway. The car slides helplessly across the icy surface, tires spinning without control. Moments later, it drifts off the road and comes to rest in the snowy ditch. A drunk driver swerves wildly along the roadside. Again and again, he crashes into the barriers, turning the road into a scene of chaos. Trying to outrun the police, the driver slams into another vehicle. Within seconds, he jumps out and flees on foot, leaving chaos behind. The driver hits a stray tire lying on the road. In a split second, the car flips over with a deafening crash. On a busy highway, a car collides with a Kamaz truck. The impact sends debris flying as traffic screeches to a halt. A car stalls right on the train tracks, its driver frozen in panic. Just in time, another motorist rushes in with a tow rope, pulling the vehicle to safety seconds before disaster. A heavy truck loses traction on the icy road, its trailer swaying uncontrollably. Within seconds, it crosses the center line and smashes into another truck coming from the opposite side. A calm day at the market unfolds as people browse through the stalls. Within seconds, a thick white cloud engulfs the area, swallowing everything and everyone in sight. A car speeds through a puddle, drenching a passing cyclist in muddy water. But karma strikes quickly. Moments later, the driver loses control and skids off the road. Crazy crashes, epic saves. Don't blink. Like and subscribe for more jaw-dropping moments.